Hey, so you know what? My last video was pretty well received. I mean, for my videos don't usually do better than, 9 or 10 views over 3 or 4 weeks. I got 31 views in like a day. So, what someone commented on that video was, and I find this very interesting, hey, you're kind of making it sound like Ecuador is a horrible place. So, like, is there anything good about Ecuador? Now, I do have a video about 3 things I love about Ecuador. And I want to expand upon that. And I want to tell people a little bit about why I would make a video, the quiz, and have it seem to be mostly negative. It's not. And I'll explain why. You see, if I tell you about all the good things that are going on in Ecuador, or all the good things that you can expect as an American or a Canadian or even a European, in comparison to where you're from, coming to Ecuador, the good things, there are many. There are many. But if I tell you those and you are not prepared for the existential threats of the negatives, and I do mean existential threats, right? Like, it doesn't matter how low the cost of living is if you have no energy, if you have no power, if you have gone and bought yourself a condo, and this is a lot of people here, there's a lot of expats here, they'll be like, wow, this condo is so cheap compared to where I'm living, I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. They go ahead and do this thing, and then are completely unprepared for the downsides, right? I think if you come here and you are prepared for, and you believe, and this is important, you have to believe in the downsides. I think if you can do that, if you took my quiz and you said, you know what, I can do that. You know what? Yeah, I can cope with that. Hey, yeah, I'm good with those kinds of things. Yeah, I'm already set with a job. Hey, I'm already set with, I know how to provide my own power. I know how to get somebody to set up a cisterna for me. I understand that living in a condo by the ocean sounds great, but maybe I won't have as much control of my own utilities as I would like to have. Things like that. If you're prepared like that, the rest of Ecuador, you're going to love it. You're going to absolutely love it because there's so much here in such a small country. There's so much here. So why don't I pick out some of those great things and we'll do 3 awesome things, or maybe even more. Let's just do as many awesome things as I can think of in the next 20 minutes while I'm on lunch. Sound good? Cool. Boom. Most of Ecuador is absolutely full of kind, peaceful, interesting people. Okay? And I realize that that could be anywhere in the world. Yes, it could be. But I really feel it here. And it may be because half of my family is Ecuadorian. And so I've spent a lot of time with them. I follow things Ecuadorian, It may be that, or it may just be because, they really are. They really are kind and wonderful people. It almost goes too far sometimes, right? It almost goes too far. And what do I mean by that? Like, I know these neighbors of ours who they got robbed, they got mugged. And I said, okay, what happened? They said, there was 5 of us and we were jogging. And this guy pulled up on a motorcycle. The guy was by himself. He gets off the motorcycle and he points a gun at us. And I said, a gun? They said, well, we think it was a gun. It was inside of his pocket. And there was how many of you? 5. There was 5 of us. And you were all athletes, young people. Yes. And what did you do? We gave him everything. Where I come from, that would not have happened. I don't know if I'm just highly aggressive or if everyone I know in the United States is highly aggressive. It's totally possible, by the way. But yeah, that's a little too far for me. But it's good for Americans and others who come here. And if you are willing to try to speak Spanish, if you are willing to try to understand things in Ecuador, if you are willing to pay a little bit of the precio de gringo, the gringo price for things, just so that you can get good with some people, you're going to reap the advantage of knowing people here. We have a maestro who's worked for my wife's family for decades, and thank goodness we have him. I mean, he is a blessing beyond belief. He tells us when we're paying the precio de gringo. He's the one who helps us navigate things that normally might not work out so well, because even though I say gringo, no soy gringo, soy ecuatoriano, no one ever believes me. Can you believe that? 6'5", blue eyes, blonde hair. Yes, it's blonde. It's not white. And no one ever believes that I'm Ecuadorian. I can't. I don't know. Maybe my accent's not good. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. Anyway, people are fantastic here. We have a WhatsApp group for our barrio, for our neighborhood. They are wonderful people, and they all work together to try and make the neighborhood safe, to help each other out, and that is a beautiful thing. The church here, it really and truly helps people out. It's not just a banner or a flyer. It actually happens. They actually do real good for real people, and not just a few, a lot. And I love that. I did not used to have a very good opinion of the Catholic Church, but coming here has changed that. So I'm sure that people will want to argue about that, but it's true. It's true. When you find a good community, it's a good community. So there you go. That's another nice thing. Something that I've seen other YouTubers talk about, I do not have as much knowledge of it. I mean, I sort of do, but I don't actually do it. So I don't have firsthand knowledge of it. And that is investing in CDs in Ecuador. Now, you can get rates here that would seem beyond belief, but the reason you get those rates is because there's not a lot of trust in Ecuadorian banks, okay? And I'll tell you, because my wife used to work at an Ecuadorian bank 20 some years ago, and that bank folded and all the money went away, and then no one ever got it back, and that was life. Oh well. Now, you do have a government guarantee that of up to $35,000, I believe, or $32,000 per account per type of bank. There's multiple types of banks. So you should probably, though, not be like a lot of expats and believe that this has something to do with reality. If a bank were to fold, if you actually believe that the government of Ecuador is going to give you some money, well, I've got a hydroelectric dam I'd like to sell you, because I seriously doubt that's going to happen, right? There's guarantees and then there's guarantees. A U.S. guarantee, that's our financial institutions are just more reliable, but that's why they charge such a low. They make you so little money. Here, like, I know people who make quite a bit of money on CDs here. And it's risky, but it's a risk that might be worthwhile. I know people that the standard would be 8, 9, 10%. Yeah, I'm not joking, 8, 9, 10%. And that is not on a multi-year CD, okay? That's a 1-year CD, some of them 6 months. I have seen people get multi-years for 12%. That is huge, right? That is a really big deal. Now, understand, as soon as you bring that money into the country and you put it into an Ecuadorian bank, getting it back out again, depending on how much it is, might cost you some money. I know at one point it was 3%, and at one point it was 5%. That money is going to be paid to the government if you want to transfer it out of an Ecuadorian bank. But if you leave it in the bank, you're good. Also, if you are on Social Security and you are here, you don't have to pay taxes on your Social Security here. Obviously, you do in the United States because, well, we're evil that way. I'm just kidding. I love the United States. I would wish that we didn't have to pay taxes on Social Security checks. We'll see how that goes. But here, you don't have to pay income tax on that. Now, if you make money here, and that's what happens when you have a CD with a high percentage rate, is you actually make money on that CD, you will be required to report that income. And before, it would be kind of a wishy-washy thing, but right now the government is really getting into the whole banks are going to report how much you made on those things, and they will be coming to ask for some money, more than likely. Especially with these hydroelectric plants. I don't know if I've talked about those, but they're going to need a little extra cash. I'm trying to stop with that. I'm trying to stop. But yeah, you can make significant money. I know people here who basically live off of that interest. And, you know, like I said, it can be a lot. But unless you're planning to be here for a long period of time, it's probably not. Now, you know what? It's still a great investment. If you got the money to put into it, that you're not worried about losing it, because once again, the government guarantees are written on scrap paper. But if you can do it, and you really do get these returns, it is still worth it, even if you have to pay income tax, and even if you have to pay the exit tax. You'll still probably end up making more than you would in most savings account in the United States. And you do it quickly. Do it rather quickly. So anyway, that's another good thing. Public transportation. Public transportation here is the main thing, right? Most people do not have cars here. Most people cannot afford a taxi, okay? Taxis are minimum rate $1.50. Where I am, I can go most places in the city for $1.50 with 2 people in the car or 3 people in the car, okay? I get around on an electric motorcycle, but I don't go very far on it, mostly because driving here is, well, it's quite dangerous if you don't have something that's going to stop people from running over your head, which most of the cars built in China don't really do for you. But yeah, I recommend getting around with a driver, with taxi services that you know. We actually have 6 different drivers that we call to try and get them to take us places because we trust them. We know them. We know a lot about them. We're related to some of them. So yeah, it's amazing though what you can do on a bus here. You could take a bus to Peru, right? You could take a bus from one city to the other city, to the other city, to the other city. You could just keep going, and it costs you pennies, okay? Pennies. To do stuff inner city, you know, like 30 cents to ride the bus. Yeah, 30. Do you remember anything in the United States that costs 30 cents? Like, nothing. You can't get anything for 30 cents in the US. But you can get a ride on the bus. Now, the bus, a little dangerous. Don't wear any jewelry. If anybody, you know, points a gun in your face, if you don't know what a real gun looks like, you should probably just do what they say. I do know what a real gun looks like. And yeah, there's a lot of fakes here. Anyway, you can take a trip from where I am to, let's say, Quito for $15. $15 to take a 5-hour bus trip? That's amazing. And it's a comfortable bus. I am told. I have not done it. Once again, I am very limited in time. I still work for a living. I work a lot. I'm supposed to, yeah, anyway, we won't talk about that. That'll be another video. Anyway, it's amazing the how little money it costs. Now, once again, I would like to point out it is dangerous. Especially overnight buses are dangerous. They are working on making them less dangerous. And when I say dangerous, it's not so much that it's not so much that a lot of people are getting killed. It is more along the lines of they're getting robbed, okay? And it's hard to travel from city to city without, you know, your wallet, you know, or identification, or credit cards, or cash. Yeah, so, but still, if you can get past the bad sides of those things, it's amazing. You travel this entire country from end to end to end to end, from corner to corner on buses. And it's awesome. Now, If you want to take a private driver, you can. It is much more expensive. That same $15 trip will cost you probably $100 or more. It really depends on, once again, do you speak Spanish and do you have any friends? But it's still cheaper than any way you would travel that far in the U.S. In the U.S., that same trip would cost you $500, something ridiculous like that. So, and once again, one of the things here in Ecuador that is annoying is how much vehicles cost and where most of those vehicles are made. Most of those vehicles are made in China. They'll cost 25 grand and up, and they are complete and utter garbage. You close the doors and they don't even close right because the metal is so light that they used to make it. It is complete and utter. The quality is just in the toilet, my friends, in the toilet. I've seen guys driving taxis, these Cherry taxis. Cherry is a Chinese brand, and like the thing, it's a brand new car. It's a brand new car. It's like a year old, and you can hear the transmission getting ready to go. It is just awful, awful, awful. But like I said, another great, amazing thing is you can travel from city to city to city to city, town to town to town, different region to different region, and you can do it all on a bus, and you can do it for super cheap money and be comfortable, although it can be a little bit dangerous. Maybe just travel during the daytime, things like that. But yeah, that's another good thing. This may seem stupid, but for me, it's a big deal. I'm a Gen Xer, and one of my favorite childhood things, and I know this is stupid, was the mall, okay? I lived in a rural area, brought up in rural upstate New York, and I gotta tell you, I loved going to the mall. It was something we did not get to do very often, and when we did, I just drank it in. Ecuador is currently going through a 1980s mall phase, and so much so that some of the malls that we've been to, they play 80s and 90s music. It is all American music. There's no Spanish anything. It's all in English. Right now it is Christmas time in the mall, so I got all these rock and roll Christmas songs. Mariah Carey is live and well at the mall, and you know what? It just feels so retro and so awesome and so interesting. And also at the mall, and this is also stupid, but I love it. They got KFC. And I know you're saying, ew, gross, KFC. I as well say, ew, gross, KFC. I don't like KFC in the United States. I think it's nasty. I think I've almost never had KFC since the 1980s that was any good. It's all just greasy, nasty, vegetable, oily tasting crap, right? Not here. Not here. I don't know what they're doing. I suspect it contains enormous amounts of MSG, and I don't care because it's delicious. The KFC here is delicious, and it's cheap compared to the US. Compared to the US, it's cheap. Compared to here, it's not cheap. Compared to the US, it's cheap. It is absolutely delicious. It is fantastic. You gotta have some. You gotta have some. However, I know I always have to include negative stuff, and I don't know why I do it, but it just is true. And I feel like I need to tell you that Pizza Hut here is very expensive, and it is awful. It is absolutely awful. They think it's good because they don't know what real Pizza Hut's supposed to taste like. I'm not a huge fan of Pizza Hut. I am from the 80s, and I was very excited, like, oh, do you think they brought back the Pizza Hut of the 80s here? And if they did, it would be an absolute skyrocketing business. But they did not. It is crap. It is total, utter crap. It is so expensive. And they are delusional if they think it's good. So, and I'm talking about the business and anybody who eats it. So, there you go. But you got to try the KFC and you got to go to the mall. It's super interesting. The natural environment here and all over the country is stunning. Okay, it's just freaking stunning. All right, The mountains are stunning. The jungle is stunning. Um, every part of Ecuador, and there are a lot of parts in this tiny little country. Every part of Ecuador has stunning, beautiful nature. Even here, we're in the middle of a city. And even here, I have a full flock of huge freaking parrots that land on my property every single day. I have a whole bunch of little parakeets that just run around the yard, run around the yard, run around the yard. They're absolutely beautiful. They're gorgeous. The parrots are really loud, but once again, very cool. And I'm not even in a place where you would consider it being, nature. It's not nature at all, but the mountains, the rivers, there's just so much. And then we aren't even talking about the Galapagos. I haven't been to the Galapagos. I'm entirely too busy to go to the Galapagos. But that in itself is a completely different world. Even though it's part of Ecuador, it's treated completely different, right? The Ecuadorian government, that place is like hands off. Nobody who lives in the Galapagos is really having a hard time with electricity or anything like that. It's a different place. And you can't just go live there if you feel like it. You have to be from there. There's all sorts of rules. But wow, you can go visit. It's not super expensive to visit. And at some point, I will do it. And like where we are, since we're on the coast, you can go whale watching for $20. And I mean, they got small boats, my friend. They take these small boats and they get entirely too close to these whales. And it is an experience that I've done in the US that is nowhere near the same, right? It is a visceral experience here. You are, like I say, entirely too close, and wow, it is amazing. So that's another thing that's amazing here. Even if you come from the least expensive part of the United States, you are going to find that the cost of living here is less. It is less for food. It is usually less for rent or purchase prices. Please take my quiz again if you are unsure about, oh, hey, I was offered a price on something and it seems a little high, or wow, is this price right? It's probably not right. If you don't speak Spanish, or if you don't have people working for you who speak Spanish, who are also not trying to screw you. There will be a lot of people here trying to screw you, but once again, this is all about positive stuff. So, cost of living in pretty much everything, is going to be lower here in Ecuador than it is in Europe, the US, and Canada. That's bonus thing number one. It's going to be lower. Food, cheaper. Rent, cheaper. Utilities, kind of cheaper, but also, maybe not real, maybe not actually in existence. My power bill's been very low because there isn't any. But I'm spending more on gasoline, even though I don't have a car. I don't have a car. But anyway, that's one thing. If you are someone who lives in the United States, you know about daylight savings time. Now, I'm sure back in the 1800s when this started, it was a great idea, but mostly now it's just annoying and it doesn't exist in Ecuador, and I think you'll be very happy about it. I really do. Unless you're working in the United States, which I am, so I still have to deal with the 1 hour forward, 1 hour back kind of thing. We are directly in the Eastern Standard Time here in Ecuador, I believe. I believe all of us are. I'm not sure. We may be in two different date lines. I'll have to check that out. But the beauty of Ecuador, being on the equator, not having daylight savings time is you get a 12-hour day every single day. It doesn't change in the winter. It doesn't change in the fall. It doesn't change in the spring. It don't change. It's a 12-hour day all year long, and it rocks. One last thing, because I'm running out of time. I do have more, so I may do another video like this. But one last thing is, if you took my quiz, and despite answering all the questions, not good, saying that maybe this isn't for you, if you do decide to come here, with an open mind and with the understanding that you are going to have some hardship. If you think you can come here with an open mind, with the idea that you are going to have to endure things that you are not used to, and you're going to accept them, and you're going to do your best to excel inside of those difficulties. If you can do that, this country will make you a stronger person. It'll make you a better person. No lie, no bullshit, no, not being dishonest. I am serious. I am serious. I have become a better person here. I have lost 70 pounds here. I stopped smoking here. I am giving more to charity than I ever have before here. I am literally a better person for having had contact with this country for about a year. Okay? But it's because of the fact that I was open to the challenges I knew were coming down the pike. And you know what? I'm also open to the challenges I don't know are coming, because they do exist. I guarantee it. All right. Anyway, that is my Here's Good Stuff About Ecuador video. And I hope I didn't turn everybody off with the quiz. And if you have any questions, please feel free to make comments. I always answer the comments. Well, because I got nobody watching the video, so why the hell not? Anyway, thank you very much, and I'll talk to you later.